take a photograph. And I turned round, I sort of walked out the front of the venue, and I turned around, there was a big poster for the Hollies, and a big poster for the Moody Blues, and I thought, when we first moved down, we got nothing. We were sort of delivering milk to pay the rent, you know. I thought, well, that's it, he's there, and I'm there, and that'll be fine. So anyway, last year, we decided that we'd put a band together as a sort of a tribute to all the music of that era. So we put this little tribute band together, and we do sort of gigs around and about, and we play the music of all the artists we've worked with and the music that we love. So yeah, that's it. Yes, Paul's in that. Yes, are you sitting comfortably? Well, Norda's obviously the flautist. The way, well, yeah, the way I ended up playing the flute was when Justin did his solo tour, View from the Hill. He wanted to do Tuesday afternoon, and when I went to music college, and I played piano and clarinet, and for that Justin said, "You play the flute, don't you?" I said, "No, I play the clarinet." He said, "Well, it's the same, isn't it?" I said, "Well, apart from the fact that the fingering's completely different and the embouchure's completely different, it's exactly the same." So I said, "Right, you're playing the flute." And he bought me a flute. And 6 weeks later, I was standing on stage playing the flute. So I'm not really a flautist. Norda is the virtuoso. What I do with Norda, I mean, most musicians, if they're schooled and they've practiced, they can pretty much pick up an instrument and make it work to a degree. So I play the harmony line to Norda, and because I'm used to, I'm quite adept at blowing through the top of a beer bottle. And it's pretty much like that, but you just move your fingers around down here. So, to answer your question, I'm not a flautist, but I sort of get away with it, I think.
All right, due to playing pretty much night after night after night.
Well, actually, this feels like downtime, doesn't it? It's great, you know. There's no tour bus involved. There are no flights involved. Come out of the cabin, you walk to the venue, play the show. We do get some downtime. Effectively, the way the routing seems to happen is that we will end up being in one place we may do a hit and run, so we might do 3 states in one day. So we'll start off, we'll wake up in one state, we'll drive to a second state and do a gig there, and then go to bed in a 3rd state. So the one in the middle you'll miss out, but then it might be that the final one will be there for maybe a day off, and then the gig that next night. So you'll have 2 full days. So yes, we do get time. In fact, in the book, I sort of delve into the history of a lot of the venues and the historic, interesting areas and places that we've been to see. Because when you travel with a band like this, you just get to see the most varied amounts of places, like South Africa and all the cities in America that I would never normally go to, like Boise, or just all sorts of places that I would never never normally go to. That's where I enjoy getting downtime in those places. Yeah, I did have an injury in 19 White. No, it was in. What was it in? I think it was in Isn't Life Strange? And I play a cymbal over here. And behind me, I've got my hi-hat, and the hi-hat is the sort of cymbals that are on a pedal, which you press down on. Those 2 cymbals go together. They crash together. So I played this cymbal here, and I stood backwards, and my backside sort of went in between these 2 cymbals. I put my heel on the pedal. And it wasn't until I got in the shower afterwards, it looked like some Dickensian schoolmaster had hit me with a whip across the... That's probably the worst injury I've had.
And which ones gave you the most thrill to have played in?
Sorry, which ones what?
Which ones gave you the most thrill?
Which ones?
Which venues?
Oh, venues?
Yes, sorry.
I mean, obviously the obvious ones, such as the O2 Arena in London, are fantastic.
I missed that.
The Hollywood Bowl is always great. Red Rocks.
Yeah!
The Albert Hall. I mean, the list goes on. To be honest, it's a lot of it depends on how I feel as opposed to the venue. So if I'm particularly tired on one night and I have to sort of push myself through it, it might be a fantastic venue, but I may get more out of a smaller venue where I'm feeling perhaps completely on it. But yeah, it's a difficult question to answer that, really. There aren't specifics, but those big ones are really great to play. And this, of course, is fantastic.
Well,
as John mentioned yesterday, John lives close to Ray. I went to see Ray, actually, about a couple of weeks before the tour began, and had a cup of tea with him, and he's doing great. We had a really good laugh, and he gave me 2 jars of his homemade marmalade, which I took home. And yeah, he's doing really well.
Read all the fine words you've put into it.
Yeah, well, it's published by Splendid Books in the UK, and at the moment we don't have a US distributor, which they're about to get, I believe. The audiobook will be available shortly, so yeah, just if you Google Splendid Books or this or me, Amazon as well. Amazon as well, brilliant.
Oh, perfect.
Do you buy it? Oh, brilliant, thank you.
Do you have it with you? He'll sign it for you.
It's on my Kindle.
Oh, you Kindle? Yeah, that's right. What do you do now with you sign Kindles? What do you... All these guys do the book signings and stuff.
I don't know. I mean, I've got a Kindle, and I'm afraid to say I read a lot on my Kindle.
Do you?
Yeah.
Have you read your book on the Kindle?
I have.
Okay.
Just to see what it looked like.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Ambrosia, Asia, Greg Lake. We watched Stephen Bishop last night, and I sat about 20 feet from him, and when he got to that line I watched him last night. I can't think what the song's called. On and On. And when you got to that line, you know, put on Sinatra and started to cry, I'm sitting there with a big lump in my throat, thinking, I'm 53 years old, I'm a middle-aged man, I shouldn't be crying at a guitar. So he was fantastic. So I've just thoroughly enjoyed that, and I've really, really enjoyed it meeting so many interesting people, actually. And people have come up and said...
Everywhere.
Yeah. I even met... I said, chatting to this guy the other day, and I said, what do you do? He said, I'm a chemist. I said, that's fantastic. He said, yeah, I invented Viagra. So I went to Graham's room.